Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Luis Chavez, and in this week's video, it's all about the iPad. So besides all of my cameras, my most used piece of kit is the iPad, since I do a lot of my productivity stuff on here, but also it allows me to stay creative on the go. So I'm going to show you ways that I like to use it, and maybe ways that you can use it as a photographer. So I bought this iPad in 2018 when it first came out, so it's about 3 years old, and I haven't felt the need to upgrade or anything since it still works great. It hasn't slowed down or anything. So I do a lot of my productivity stuff on here. So I do email, or I update my website or my portfolio, but most importantly, I also edit photos. So if I'm out on a job or I'm on vacation or something like that, I bring this along. I don't really own a laptop or anything, so this is the only thing that comes with me besides my cameras. So there's different ways to transfer your photos from your cameras into your iPad, and the most common one is to have an SD card reader. This is a USB-C card reader, and since this iPad and I think a lot of the new ones are USB-C, this works great for that. So what I do, if I'm on vacation, I'm back from like a street photography session or something like that, and I'm really excited about the photos, I just take the camera, I get the SD card out, and I put it right onto the iPad. So there's different places you can put your photos at to organize them. So you can use the Photos app or the Files app or Lightroom specifically, but what I like to do is just hand select a few photos that I want to have on the iPad. Since I do a lot of my backups on external hard drives, I just want to edit very quickly on here, so I don't put all the photos that I took on here. I just select a few and I start editing them. So what I like to do is I like to go to the Files app and go on my iPad, and I already started a folder here, so I called it Street March. And so what I can do is go to the actual SD card and select the photos that I actually want to transfer over to that. So let's select a few of them here. Let's say I'm really excited about this car photo right here. So I select two of them and I can move them. So I can move them into different places onto the iPad. So what I like to do, I like to select the folder that I already created. So I go here, Street March, I copy them, and it starts to copy them. So if you go right onto the actual folder, you can see the photos you just transferred. So they're already here and you can see them, but what I can do now is I can transfer them to Lightroom. So I already started a folder here for March, and I can add folders from Files and go to the folder that I created, and I can just select these photos. So I actually just selected the one photo, but you kind of get the idea. So you can see that now you have full controls over the edit, especially if you're shooting in RAW. So you still have your histogram here, you get the actual file here, and it makes it really easy to edit. So let me take this SD card reader out off of here for now. And what I can do is, this is how I like to edit the photos on the iPad. So I like to see the full photo, and it's nice because it's a pretty nice big screen and it's pretty bright. So what I like to do is, and if you've seen a lot of my videos, this is kind of a refresher for that. So what's really great about Lightroom for the iPad is that you have a lot of the controls that you have on a desktop computer. So if you have, let's say you have presets, you can put your presets right onto your iPad. So I have a couple presets that I've been developing. So this is a black and white one, or my color one. But if you are also a fan of, let's reset this. If you're a fan of profiles like I am, so I've been using the Kodak pack, you can also put that on here. So you can go to Profile, Browse, and then all of your profiles are going to be right on here. So if you see here, all of my Kodak profiles are on here, so you can scrub through them very quickly, and you can hand select your edits. So if you just want like one click edits, you can do that. So for instance here, I can do all of the corrections that I like. So the exposure, have full control of the exposure, the contrast, the highlights, the shadows, the whites, the blacks. So if you want to have full control, you still have your histogram right here. And even more importantly, and what's a great feature that I really like about this, about the iPad version of Lightroom, is that you still have your tone curves, and it's like an overlay here. So you can make your tone curve adjustments right on here, and you can see them in real time instead of like a tiny bit on the side like the desktop version of them. So you can do your tone curve edits here. So if you want to do some some curves here onto your edit, you can do so, and then you can preview them in real time. So let's say you're really happy with this edit, you can exit out of that. Let's see if I want to adjust the white balance on here, make them a little warmer. It's very, very easy, especially with the Apple Pencil. It makes editing on the iPad very easy, and you still have a lot of the controls that you would have on the desktop version. Obviously, it's not as robust as the desktop version, but you still have a lot of them. So I'll go through them right here. You still get the color with the white balance and everything, but you still get a color mix here, and it makes it very easy to do selective edits and everything like that. So if you want to adjust your hue, you can do that. So after that, you can also do some sharpening if you want to, some noise reduction. So, it's a little bit, it's not as robust, like I said, from the desktop version, but it's still nice to have a condensed version of that, especially if you want to do very quick edits. So one of the things that you don't get as full control as you would on a desktop is the lens correction. So if you're familiar with the Lightroom version, the desktop version of Lightroom, you can, whenever you enable lens correction, you can do selective stuff on there. This one, you just enable it or disable it, and that's about it. So that's something to keep in mind with this, but usually it does a very good job on it, so I don't really mind about it. And you can still remove chromatic aberration from your photos, so that's another plus. So yeah, a lot of the full controls are on here still. So like I said, the presets are on here, but also you can, crop if you want to. You can, do some brush stuff on here. So it's very, very, very good to have on hand, especially if you like to have something tactile, or if you just want something that's not like a laptop if you're taking it somewhere. So like, I love the fact that I can edit like this. So if I want to do like a very quick edit and I want to sit on the couch or something, I can actually hold the photo, which is weird. It's not a print or anything, but it's really a nice feeling to have the photo you took right on your hands, and you can make the edits right on it. So that's something that I've really, really enjoyed about using the iPad. And besides, if you're a photographer and you do this professionally too, there's other ways you can do this. So you can sync up your desktop version of Lightroom into your iPad. So you can, like for instance, I have a session here. So any changes I do from the desktop computer here onto my iPad, it's adjusted. So if I do any selective edits or color correction or anything like that, it gets sent over to my iPad, and vice versa. So if I do any edits on here and I want them to do further edits onto my desktop, it gets sent over there, and all the adjustments I did on here gets sent over to the desktop version. So that's really, really useful for when I do sessions. It's something that makes my life as a photographer a lot easier. Another way that I like to use the iPad as well is to cull my photos. So for instance, a session that I have here, I take thousands and thousands of photos. So for an engagement session or something like that, my wife and I usually just use around like 2,000 photos, depending on the length of the session. So, on your desktop, it can be a little bit boring to cull your photos, especially if you're doing it manually. But also, if you want to just cull very quickly on the iPad, you can do that too. So you can scrub up or down to either tag the photo, or to pick the photo, to not do anything to it, or to reject it. So you can do all three of them very quickly. So I can just be like, yes, this is a photo I want, yes, this is a photo I want, it's a photo I want, or no, this is for this photo, it's not the best photo that I took, so maybe I can reject it. So it makes it really, really easy to cull your photos, and all of this information gets sent over to the desktop version. So once you're ready to fully edit your photos, you can do that right on the desktop. So other ways you can use to transfer your photos into your iPad is the apps that these cameras have. Leica has one, Ricoh has one, but the one I use the most is the Leica one. So what's really cool about these apps is that you can not only transfer all these photos, but you can also control your cameras. So for me, I like to actually use the iPad as a giant viewfinder. So as you can see here, I have full control of my camera, and you can see what I can see here. And so if I want to use this camera for like video or something, I can use this as a screen. So that's been really, really helpful to, kind of compose things if I really want to do it very quickly, or if I'm taking photos, on vacation or something and I'm indoors and it's not cumbersome, I kind of take this out to compose. So it's been very, very good for that. So, a lot of these cameras, they have these apps that are very useful. So yeah, the Leica one is great. All these apps that these cameras have tend to be a little bit on the slow side. So if you're kind of okay with the limitations of these apps, that's great. So you can control your camera settings, you can have remote control your camera. So it's been really, really helpful because it's like having a giant external display to control your camera. So that's been awesome to do as well. So thank you so much for watching this week's video. If you have any questions about the iPad, or if you're using the iPad already in your photography workflow, I would love to hear your thoughts about the ways that you're using the iPad for your workflow. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you next time.